Hello, I'm the country counselor. Thank you for tuning in today. Our previous series that we just did was called Schools and Fools. And toward the end of that, of course, we were looking at concerns that we have about the public school situation and what our kids are learning. And at the end of that, we covered something that I want to go over again so you understand where we're coming from. And that was that God set up three entities, three institutions, whatever you'd like to call it. And one was the family, one was the church, and one was the government. And each one of those had specific instructions on what they were to do. Just like with the family. See, the family was to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. They were to learn God's commandments, and as he said, be careful to obey all that the Lord said. And then the family would also teach that to the kids. So the children's education was a role for the family. Then the church's role was to preach the good news of Jesus, give light to those who sat in darkness, as talked about in the last part of Luke. Jesus spent a lot of time casting out demons, which we don't see much anymore. And the church was to feed the hungry and heal the sick. And then the government's role was to keep the people safe, punish evildoers, and to reward those who do good. Now, the purpose of what we're doing now, what I want us to see is nobody's done their role as God laid it out for them to do. In other words, the family has turned their basic part of educating the children over to the government. We're not saying that everybody's got a homeschool, but you need to be involved in what your kids are learning. The church is not feeding the hungry. They've turned that over to the government. That's why the government's spending $40–50 million a year on food stamps, when that was the church's role to do. The church is not healing the sick. They're sending that out. The church was the one that originally set up hospitals, and that's been turned over now to big corporations. And it should have been left local. And then the government was to keep the people safe and punish evildoers and reward those who do good. Now, the government's done a pretty good job with the military. We've had the strongest military on the planet. We've done well in that area. But as far as punishing evildoers, we've gone soft on crime. We're letting people go. There's places that if you don't steal more than $900, they won't even prosecute you. And we're not rewarding those who do good. So as a result of no one doing their job, as God laid it out, we're paying a severe consequence. And today, when we're making this, is November 22nd, 2020. Our country is divided. The election is unsettled from almost 3 weeks ago. And the division is as great as it was in the Civil War. And I think that we can attribute all of it, or at least almost all of our troubles, we can trace it back to the family not doing their role, the church not doing its role, and the government not doing its role. And so this series, we're going to look at the cost of the family. The following series, which will be out in a few days, we're going to look at the cost of the church not doing their role and government not doing theirs. So the first one that we're going to look at is the family failure. And as usual, we've got 7 poems. So please stay with us. This is very, very important.